Imagine this. The universe collapsing. Every star pulled into an endless spiral. Time itself twisting, folding, tearing apart. At the center, a storm of infinite gravity and light, where reality is erased and reborn. This is the Big Bang, the most powerful force in existence. But here's the question that has haunted fans for decades. Could Superman survive it? Before we dive deep, subscribe to the channel for more untold origins, hidden truths, and impossible questions from the world of comics. Because the only way to explore a question like this is together. Now let's begin. The Big Bang is not just an explosion. It is creation itself. A moment so violent, so incomprehensible, that even the strongest gods of myth would be nothing more than whispers in the void. The end of one cycle and the beginning of another. But Superman is no ordinary being. He is the last son of Krypton, born beneath a dying red sun, gifted with powers beyond imagination under a yellow one. He has flown through collapsing suns, wrestled black holes, and stood against cosmic gods. But the Big Bang is not a star, not a black hole, not even a universe. It is all of them at once. To answer whether Superman can survive, we must first understand his core nature. Superman is powered by the cosmic furnace of starlight. Every ray of solar energy fuels him, rebuilds him, strengthens him. The more intense the energy, the more limitless he becomes. But the Big Bang is not sunlight. It is the birth of light itself. A flood of radiation that would annihilate matter, yet also ignite it. Could his Kryptonian cells absorb that kind of energy, or would they simply tear apart? To even test this, we must look at moments across Superman's history. In All-Star Superman, he absorbed a lethal overdose of solar radiation that would have burned any mortal being instantly into ash. Instead, it transformed him. His body glowed with the very essence of the sun, his powers magnified to near infinity. He became a living star in human form. In another timeline, Superman survived being at the heart of a supernova, a blast capable of wiping out entire star systems. He did not vanish. He endured. And in Final Crisis, we see something even more terrifying. Superman wielding the cosmic wish machine, singing a note that reshaped reality itself. This is not just strength. This is survival at the very edges of existence. But here's the paradox. The Big Bang is not simply energy. It is absolute entropy and creation. Not even beings like the Spectre or the Anti-Monitor can withstand it. For some, it is the final curtain. So could Superman endure it? The answer might not lie in his body, but in his symbol. Superman is more than a Kryptonian under the sun. He is a being who grows without limit, who adapts, who evolves. Over the decades, his power has scaled in ways writers themselves cannot measure. He has been depicted lifting infinity, outracing death, even rebuilding shattered dimensions with his willpower. And if the Big Bang truly is the first fire of existence, then Superman may be the only being who could absorb it, not as destruction but as rebirth. But here's where it gets darker. What if surviving the Big Bang means losing everything? To live through it, Superman would no longer be the hero we know. He would become something else, a cosmic constant, a living embodiment of survival itself. A being that is no longer man, no longer Kryptonian, but a force of creation, stripped of humanity. That, perhaps, is the true danger. Not that Superman would die in the Big Bang, but that he would outlive it, forever alone in the silence before existence begins again. The Big Bang. A singularity of infinite density, erupting into infinite expansion. To any mortal, or even most gods, this is nothing less than absolute annihilation. But for Superman, the question is not so simple. Could the last son of Krypton endure a force that even eternity bows before? Or would even his godlike strength crumble in the chaos of creation? Before we dive deeper, remember to subscribe for more journeys into the impossible. The questions no one dares to ask about our greatest heroes. Now, let's push past the boundary of power itself. Superman has stood against beings that embody concepts rather than flesh. The Anti-Monitor, destroyer of universes. The World Forger, who creates and collapses entire multiverses. Even Darkseid, whose very existence is corruption made flesh. Against them, Superman has never been just a fighter. He has been a constant, a force of hope that bends reality toward survival. But the Big Bang, it is not a villain. It is not even a god. It is everything and nothing at once. So let's weigh the evidence. In Superman 1,000,000 we see Kal-El's distant descendant, a Superman who has lived within the heart of the sun for 15,000 years. His body became pure energy, his power extending across centuries. He was no longer just Kryptonian. He was cosmic divinity. If time and exposure can elevate Superman into something more than flesh, then imagine what the Big Bang could do. That flood of infinite energy, compressed into a single instant, could transform him into a being beyond gods, a living constant of the universe. Yet there is danger here, because if Superman absorbs too much, his cells don't just burn. They detonate. We saw it in All-Star Superman. His body couldn't sustain the overload of power forever. Eventually, it broke him down cell by cell until he was on the brink of death. Now magnify that to a cosmic scale. The Big Bang's energy would not just overload his body. It would rewrite him. This is where the paradox lies. If Superman's cells adapt, he could survive not as Kal-El, not as Clark Kent, but as something altogether new. A being forged in the explosion that birthed time. But if his body cannot evolve quickly enough, he would not burn, he would not vanish. He would become part of the Bang itself. His essence woven into the fabric of reality, scattered across the newborn cosmos as stardust and energy. And here's the thought that chills the blood. What if Superman already did? There are whispers in DC lore of Superman Prime, a being who left Earth to live inside the sun, emerging millennia later with limitless power. Some stories hint that he was there at the beginning of time, shaping creation itself. Could it be that Superman is not just a child of Krypton, but a child of the universe? A being whose destiny was always tied to the Big Bang? That every story we read is just one cycle of a hero who survives, dies, and is reborn across endless creations? This makes him more than a hero. It makes him a multiversal constant. Like gravity, like light, like the Bang itself. But if this is true, then survival comes at a terrible price. Because to become that eternal force, Superman must sacrifice everything. His memories, his humanity, his connection to Lois, to Earth, to the life of Clark Kent. He would not survive as the man we know, but as something unfathomable. A god without people. A protector without a world. And that raises the question. Is survival worth it if it costs him his soul? The Big Bang does not simply test Superman's body. It tests his essence. Because in the end, there are fates far worse than death. And perhaps for Superman, the true annihilation would not be losing his life, but losing the man he has always fought to remain. So, could Superman survive the Big Bang? Yes. But the greater question is, would the Superman who emerged still be Superman? The universe begins in silence. A void absolute and endless. And then a roar. The Big Bang. Creation explodes outward, scattering stars, time, and destiny itself. But somewhere in that story we dare to place Superman. Not just as a witness. Not just as a victim. But perhaps as a survivor. For decades, writers have tested Superman's limits. They have thrown him into the sun, into black holes, into wars against gods. Each time we believe we've seen his end. And yet he returns. Stronger, wiser, more unshakable. The Big Bang is the ultimate test. Not a battle, not an enemy, but the very birth of all things. To imagine Superman within it is to imagine the breaking point of hope itself. In some versions of DC's lore, it is hinted that Superman, or a version of him, has no limits. That his strength grows endlessly as long as there is light, as long as there is something to fight for. He is fueled not only by the sun but by belief. By the idea that he cannot fall because we cannot allow him to. This makes him more than Kryptonian. More than a hero. He becomes an archetype, a story written into the fabric of the multiverse. and stories, unlike flesh, cannot truly die. So perhaps when the Big Bang erupts, it is not Superman's body that matters. It is his myth, his eternal role, the idea of Superman woven into every star that bursts to life. But let's step back. What is the real weight of this question? Why does it matter whether Superman can survive the Big Bang? Because it forces us to see him not just as a comic book hero, but as a mirror of ourselves. Humanity has always asked where our limits are, how far we can go. Can we survive the end of the world? Can we survive the collapse of time itself? Superman is that question given flesh. He is our vessel for dreaming of the impossible. If he survives, then we believe hope can outlast even annihilation. If he perishes, then we confront the truth that even gods can fall. Either way, the story teaches us something profound, that the value of Superman is not in whether he survives, but in what he represents. That even against the infinite he stands. Even when defeat is certain, he tries. And maybe that is why he could survive the Big Bang, not because of power, not because of Kryptonian cells, but because he refuses not to. Because the universe itself bends toward hope. So let me leave you with this thought. The Big Bang birthed time, space, stars, and life. But perhaps, hidden in its first heartbeat, it also birthed an eternal truth, that there will always be a Superman. Not the man, not the name, not even the cape, but the force of hope that never dies, no matter how many times the cosmos burns and begins again. And if that's true, then the answer is simple. Yes, Superman can survive the Big Bang, because Superman isn't just part of the universe. He is the part that ensures it is worth saving. This was our dive into the impossible. But now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Superman could endure creation itself? Or is there a limit, a final wall he cannot break? Share your thoughts, and if you want more journeys into the myths and secrets of heroes, subscribe and join us. Because next time we go even deeper. What if Superman didn't just survive the Big Bang, but caused it?